Okay, so get this today. We're going deep into pet influencers.
Yeah.
It's a world where, like, cuteness and controversy, they kind of, like, clash.
Yeah.
We're zeroing in on this golden retriever, Tucker Budzyn.
Mm-hmm.
He's, like, taking the internet by storm. And you sent over a bunch of sources on him, articles, forum discussions, even, like, academic papers.
Yeah.
It's wild. So the big question is Tucker's fame, like, pure entrepreneurial genius?
Right.
Or are his owners, maybe exploiting him a bit? Let's, like, dive in and see if we can figure that out.
Well, one thing that's clear right away is just how massive Tucker's online presence is.
Right.
We're not talking about a small following here.
No.
This dog has over 25 million followers across all these platforms like YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook.
Well, yeah.
That's more than a lot of A-list celebrities.
It's mind-blowing. You even sent over his IMDb page.
Oh, yeah.
He's listed like an actual actor.
He is.
And speaking of actors, let's talk about the money.
Yeah.
One article estimated that Tucker earns, get this, between like $9, $8,000 and $153 and $4,000 per month from YouTube alone.
Wow.
And that doesn't even include like sponsored posts or merchandise.
Exactly. And that's where things get interesting.
Right.
One of the sources you sent suggests that this isn't just a fun little hobby for Tucker's owners, Courtney and Mike Budzyn.
Okay.
They've actually quit their jobs to manage his whole career full-time.
Like he's their job.
Yeah, they've built a whole business around him with merch like plushies, hoodies, even a Tucker Budzyn gift card.
Wow. It seems like they saw this opportunity and like went all in.
They did.
You even sent over Courtney's bio, and her net worth is listed at $1.5 million on top of whatever Tucker's making.
Right.
So we know this dog is making serious bank for his owners.
Yes.
But you also included this forum post where people are debating whether Tucker's fame is actually good or bad for him, especially when it comes to his breeder's reputation.
Yeah.
What did you think about that?
It's tricky, right? Some people think his popularity shouldn't be seen as like a stamp of approval for the breeder,
Okay.
while others think the breeder is being unfairly criticized just because their dog got famous. It raises questions about, like, the unintended consequences of internet fame, even in a seemingly harmless world like pet influencers.
Right. You also highlighted an essay that looks at pet influencers through this lens of domesticity.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta admit, I wasn't sure what to expect when I saw that word.
Yeah, it sounds a little academic.
Yeah.
The essay basically argues that these animals are kind of performing in these, like, carefully constructed environments for their online audience.
Mm-hmm.
Think about those popular pet influencers like Boo, Jif Palm, and Grumpy Cat.
Oh, yeah.
They're always shown in these really nice curated spaces, usually their living rooms. It creates this image of, like, perfect domestic happiness.
Okay.
But the question is how much of that is real and how much is staged for the camera?
Yeah, it's like their homes become sets designed to make viewers feel certain emotions.
Right.
And that leads to some pretty interesting ethical questions, doesn't it?
For sure. Like, is this a form of exploitation? Can these animals really consent to being filmed and put online?
Right.
We have to think about their rights and well-being in all of this.
And it's not just about ethics.
Right.
It's about how we see reality, too.
Yeah.
You sent over an academic paper that compares pet influencer homes to the set of Big Brother.
Oh, wow.
It suggests these living spaces are made to, like, play with our emotions on purpose, just like reality TV.
That's a really interesting comparison.
It is. If you think about it, these influencers are blurring the lines between entertainment and real life. Their homes are like stages, and their lives become performances. And that raises the question, what's the impact on the animals themselves?
Right.
Are they really happy and fulfilled, or are they just playing a role for the camera?
It's hard to know for sure.
It makes you wonder about Tucker specifically. He's got this whole persona built around being this, like, goofy, lovable dog.
Mm-hmm.
But is that really him?
Right.
Or is it a carefully crafted image made by his owners?
Yeah.
It's hard to say for sure.
It is.
But it's definitely something to think about as we, dig deeper into his story.
Definitely. Yeah, it really makes you wonder, how much of what we see online is actually real.
Exactly. Like, it's so easy to get caught up in all the cuteness and forget that there's a whole business behind these adorable faces.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, you mentioned that essay pointed to Boo the Pomeranian as, like, the perfect example of this, like, super curated aesthetic.
Oh, yeah. Abu was huge online a few years back.
He was.
His owners would constantly post pics of him just chilling in his living room, surrounded by, like, fluffy toys.
Oh, yeah.
He was, like, the definition of cute and cuddly.
Right.
But the essay argues that this whole carefully crafted image was meant to make people feel, like, awe domestic bliss,
Hmm.
and then, buy stuff.
It's amazing how something as simple as a dog in a living room can be used to sell a whole lifestyle.
It is.
And it's not just Boo either. You also brought up Jif Pom, that tiny Pomeranian who holds the Guinness World Record for being the fastest dog on two legs.
Oh, yeah. Jif Palm takes that curated look to a whole other level.
He does.
He's always dressed up in costumes and posed in these really stylized settings.
Yeah.
It's like the line between pet and product is totally blurred.
Yeah, it's almost like he's become more of a brand than an actual dog.
Right.
And then there's Grumpy Cat, the ultimate internet cynic cat.
Oh, yeah, Grumpy Cat.
Her constantly grumpy face became a total meme sensation.
It did.
And she was on everything, merchandise, even a Lifetime movie.
Wow.
Her Instagram, with over 2.6 million followers, really shows how a carefully crafted online personality can lead to huge success.
Absolutely.
Even after she passed away, her image is still being used for all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
It really shows how commercialized these animals have become.
It does.
And speaking of commercial success, we can't forget Tucker Budzyn. That article you shared estimated that he could be earning almost $2 million a year.
That's more than most people make in their lifetime.
I know, it's crazy. And the article pointed out that a big chunk of that probably comes from sponsored posts and brand partnerships.
Makes sense.
Just imagine a YouTube pre-roll ad can reportedly get them something between $40,000 to $60,000 for just 30 minutes.
Wow.
And Instagram stories can bring in around $20,000.
That's a lot of money.
It is. It really shows how much financial incentive there is to keep those views and likes coming in for these pet influencers.
For sure.
Which brings us back to that central question of this whole deep dive.
Yeah.
Are these accounts driven by genuine love for their animals?
Right.
Or are they mostly just business ventures?
It's hard to say. I think it's probably a mix of both.
Yeah.
I'm sure there is real affection between these animals and their owners,
Yeah.
but it's also pretty clear that there's a big financial reason to keep those views and likes coming in.
It's like that old saying, are they in it for the love of the game or the money?
Exactly. It's tough to tell for sure.
It is. But let's move beyond the money for a second and think about how all this online fame might be affecting the animals themselves.
Okay.
Do you think they're really living their best lives, like so many captions say?
Hmm.
Or could their freedom and well-being be at risk because they're famous?
That's a really good point.
That essay you sent argued that all this filming and social media stuff might actually be limiting their freedom.
Yeah, it's like they're constantly being watched. Their every move documented and shared with millions of people.
Right.
It's like they're living in a digital fishbowl. Even humans have trouble with all that online scrutiny.
I know I do.
So imagine what it's like for an animal that doesn't even understand what social media is.
It's true. It's a level of exposure that's just unheard of in the animal world.
Right.
And while some animals might love being in the spotlight, others could find it really stressful.
Exactly. We have to remember that these are living beings, not just cute faces on a screen.
It makes you wonder, are they being robbed of a normal life? They're not just pets anymore. They're performers with this expectation to entertain.
And that brings up some ethical questions.
It does.
Are we, as viewers, part of the problem by liking, sharing, and subscribing to their accounts?
It's tough, right? On one hand, we're helping them succeed by engaging with their content.
Right.
But we can also use our voices to speak up for their well-being.
We can. We can demand more transparency from influencers and their owners.
Like what kinds of things?
We can ask things like, how are these animals treated? How much freedom do they have? Are their needs being met?
So it's about being more informed as viewers and using our influence to hold these accounts accountable.
Exactly. We need to make sure that the animal's well-being always comes first, even when there's fame and money involved.
Couldn't agree more. Now let's switch gears a bit and talk about what makes Tucker Budzyn so uniquely popular. I mean, there are tons of cute dogs online, but he's clearly got something special.
Well, part of it is definitely his breed.
Golden Retrievers.
Yeah, they're consistently among the most popular dog breeds worldwide. People love their friendly, playful nature and their beautiful golden coats.
And Tucker definitely fits that description.
He does.
He always has this big, goofy grin and seems to genuinely enjoy hanging out with his humans and his other dog friends.
He's got that classic golden retriever charm. It's hard to resist.
It is. And his owners have done a great job creating this consistent image for him.
Mm-hmm.
They focus on humor, wholesome content, and heartwarming family moments.
It's a good formula.
It is. They often show him doing everyday things like playing fetch, going for walks, or even just trying new foods.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that video where he's supposedly answering fan questions?
Oh, yeah. That was
It
hilarious.
was. Courtney basically speaks for him,
Right.
but she does it so well, it feels like he's actually talking.
She's good.
It's part of their brilliance. They've created this illusion that Tucker's a talking dog, which makes him even more charming and fun.
For sure.
And you can't deny their social media skill.
No, they're really good at it.
Yeah. They're pros at making those short, catchy videos that are perfect for places like TikTok and Instagram.
They know what they're doing.
They're always coming up with new creative ideas to keep their audience entertained. Like the Painter's Tape Challenge, where they made an obstacle course for Tucker out of painter's tape.
Oh, yeah. That was a good one.
Or that video where they tried to style his fur with a Dyson Airwrap.
So funny.
I know. It's silly and relatable, and people love it.
They do.
It seems like they've really figured out the secret to success in this pet influencer world.
They have. They've managed to build a brand that's both profitable and genuinely loved by millions.
But as we talked about earlier, their success hasn't come without some criticism.
True.
You mentioned those online discussions where people question the ethics of breeding golden retrievers,
Right.
and they wondered if Tucker's fame contributes to irresponsible breeding practices.
Yeah, some people are worried that his popularity might lead to more demand for golden retrievers from puppy mills or bad breeders.
It's a legitimate concern for sure. And there are also those who felt a bit uncomfortable with how much Tucker was being portrayed as human in his videos. They argued that it was kind of demeaning to animals.
Right. It's important to remember that everyone has different opinions on this.
Yeah.
Some people might find Tucker's videos harmless and funny, while others might see them as problematic.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
So where do we go from here? How do we navigate this world of pet influencers where cuteness and controversy seem to go hand in hand?
That's a great question, and one we'll continue to explore after a quick message.
Stay with us. And we're back. We were just talking about all those concerns surrounding breeding practices and like anthropomorphism.
Yeah.
You know, it really makes you think. Even in a world of adorable animal videos, there are some complex issues underneath it all.
Definitely.
And it's important to approach these topics with, careful thought. One commenter in that forum discussion you shared made a great point.
Yeah, what was it?
They said something like, just because Tucker Budzyn is famous online doesn't mean his breeder is good.
Right.
Those two things aren't automatically connected.
It's true.
Like, a dog being popular shouldn't be seen as an endorsement for the breeder.
Yeah, people should really do their research and make sure they're supporting breeders who actually care about the health and well-being of their animal.
Exactly. And this commenter actually recommended people use resources like the OFA, the Orthopedic Foundation for Animals,
Oh, yeah.
and Canine Data to research breeders and make informed decisions.
Those are great resources.
They offer info on health clearances and genetic testing, which can help you avoid supporting, like, unethical breeding.
That's really good advice for anyone thinking about getting a dog.
Right. Don't just rely on social media fame. Do your homework.
Exactly. Make sure you're getting your dog from a responsible source.
Okay, so let's talk about anthropomorphism for a bit.
Okay.
It's interesting how it plays out in Tucker's videos. On the one hand, it's definitely part of his charm. People love seeing him talk and act like a human.
It's cute.
It totally taps into our natural desire to connect with animals on an emotional level.
Right. We see ourselves in them, and it makes us feel closer to them.
But then again, as some critics have pointed out, does portraying them this way take away from their own unique identity and agency as animals?
It's a valid question, and it's not an easy one to answer.
No, it's not. Courtney, Tucker's owner, has always said that she'd ever force him to do anything he doesn't want to do.
That's good to hear.
But even with the best intentions, it's easy to project our own desires and interpretations onto animals.
It is.
So what's the takeaway here? How do we balance our love for these adorable animals with the ethical stuff surrounding their online fame?
I think it comes down to being mindful of what we're consuming online.
Okay.
We can enjoy the cuteness, the funny moments, and the heartwarming stuff, but we also need to be aware of the potential downsides.
We should ask questions, be critical, and use our voices to advocate for the well-being of these animals.
Absolutely. At the end of the day, their well-being needs to be the top priority.
Well said. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what does all this mean for you, our listener? The world of pet influencers, like we've seen with Tucker Budzyn, is a fascinating, complicated, and sometimes ethically tricky place.
Yeah.
There's definitely joy and entertainment to be found in their content, but there are also big questions to think about,
Yeah.
like animal welfare, responsible breeding practices, and the potential negative effects of online fame. I
Exactly.
encourage you to keep digging into these issues and forming your own opinions. Are these animals truly living their best lives? Or is there something more going on? It's a question worth considering as you scroll through your social media.
Definitely. And on that note, thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
We'll see you next time.